Usually, can you hear me? That's good. Usually, can you hear me? Oh, this will take time. Um, I'm just trying to set up. We're doing basics today. I'm just trying to set up. We're doing Okay, so let's start with the basics here. We're going to start with the basics of Godot visual scripting. So right now, I've installed orchestrator already, but if you want to install, you can always go to the asset lib to install it. So you can be able to type your orchestrator. And you can be able to download this. Okay, so you can do that. I also have a video on how to do that. It takes a bit of time, so but I've already set it up. So you can check my channel to see the video for doing that exactly. So right now, I'm just going to go to the orchestrator. And right now, I don't have a scene. So I'm just going to create a very simple scene. I'm going to start with a 2D scene. So my 2D scene, you already, if you're new to Godot engine, the first thing you want to know is this is just basically where you have your tabs, okay? And these are your scenes. You have your scenes here where you have different nodes that you're going to be using for your work. And you also have the import, where you can import things. So the thing we're going to do right now, we already have this here, and I will go ahead to change this to, I'm going to add something here. I already have a node here, and I'm going to also add character body 2D, but I'm not going to use that right now. So let's just go ahead to do something here. I'm just going to start with here, and I'm going to create a script. So we just want to use this the orchestrator and seek, okay? So the first thing we're going to do here is I'm going to create a script. So right now, once the orchestrator is turned on, let's just create a script and learn the basics of orchestrator. So I'm going to go down, I'm going to right click on this node 2D, go into the attach script, and I'm going to call this hello world, but I'm going to change this from GD script to orchestrator. And I'm going to go in here and create my own script here. There's a script folder I'm creating. So I have my hello world orchestrator script, and I'm going to create it. So once I create it, now this is the interface for the orchestrator. So once you turn to the orchestrator, you see this. So here you have your codes, any code you're actually using, you see them here. And over here, you have the event graph. This is the new thing that we'll have in orchestrator 4, orchestrator for Godot 4 engine or Godot 4.3 or higher. So we'll have here, you have the event graph, you have the functions, you have the macros, variables, and signals. So let's start with the graphs. So here, the graphs enable us to have multiple collection of codes. So you can have a graph that contains various functions. So maybe when the functions become too much, you have too many functions in one graph, you can create a new graph. So you can simply create a graph by just clicking on the plus here and you have a new graph. So the codes here will be different. You can still have the same, maybe in different projects, but then the graph is just like a way of being able to capture, different things. So you don't want your functions to be too much in a particular graph that you're working. So that's the reason why we'll have this multiple graph. We don't have it in 3 points, 3 points, 1, 2, 3, and other fashions there. So right here we have the functions. So the functions are just basically a collection of commands that we're going to be using. So right here we'll have the inbuilt functions that we're going to be using. If you click here, you can get the inbuilt function. You have enter tree, you have process, you have a lot of them here. I think the one I use most times is the process and the physics process and ready. Okay, so those are the ones I use mostly. So, but you have all these functions that come with your that are default. So here you have the functions you can create yourself. So you can create your own function. Okay, so let's create a function here. I'm going to just create a very simple function. I'm going to delete one of these graphs so that I don't get confused. So I'm going to create a function, and this function I'm going to call it hello world. Hello world. So now I have this function here, and I will just go ahead to, the macros has not been implemented yet. So we'll just use functions for the meantime. So right here, we'll have variables that we can be able to use. So I can have a variable. So a variable can be anything. So I'm going to create this variable. I'm going to call it my text. Okay, it can be a number, whatever you want it to be. So when I select it now, I can just go over here and you see the type that I have here. So I can click on type and I have my any type. That's what it's on right now. So you can make it a string because I want to put a text. I want to be able to display hello world with this particular variable. I want to be able to print out the text in it. So right now I have the string here. So you can also use integer if you want to. So if I select the string, now you can export the variable. Now the importance of exporting a variable is if you want to use this particular if you want to use this particular variable in another scene, that's the export why you want to use it, and you can also describe it here. So I have my string here, and the default value I will say hello world. You are welcome. Okay, let's just do hello world, like the normal hello world that's all coding exercise. I'm going to just leave the export. I'm not going to export it because we're doing it inside here. So right now I have my signal. I'm not going to use signal right now because signal is just like a way of being able to use a code to ignite another code. So you want to say, okay, whenever I click on this button, then this should start a signal that will cause something else to happen. So for example, now let's say you want whenever the game ends, you want a signal that will signal the music, the end, the game over the game over music to begin to play. So those are the things you want to be able to do. So you have here, and you can just go ahead to just let's print this first. We're going to leave the signal. We're not going to use it for this basic thing we're doing here. So right now we'll have the nodes that come with visual scripting. So once I right click here, you'll see that I have a couple of things. I have classes, methods, and a lot of things I have here. They are quite huge. So with time, you will be learning much of the things here. There are ones you'll be using, there are ones you will not be using. So right now, I want to just get prints. So I'm going to get the print here. I have my print there, and I have prints. Okay, so we'll say whenever this function is is activated, we want this to just go ahead. I think we just want to go ahead to print this. And what we want to print, so we'll have the text here. So we can just drag out this text from here. That's a good part about visual scripting. You can just drag out something from here and just drop over there. And I can get a text. So get the text means I will get the value. But if I set it, that means that maybe I want to change the value. I want to use something else. Right now, you see that it has hello world in it. So if I want to pass another value through it, I can use this, but I don't want to do that. I just want to get the exact value there and just drop it here. So, but right now, this is just a function. It's not the main function. So it's not really going to display if you actually play the game. So you will need to get your physics process. So I'm going to get my physics process, or process, anyone you use will work here. So I'll get my physics process. And once I get that, let me see where my physics process is. Okay. Okay, my physics process is over here. So it's under the event graph here. So once I get the physics process, if you click here on the halo, it's separate because it's a function on its own. So this is my physics process on my event graph. I'm just going to drag this to this place, and I can just connect this. So that means that whenever the game starts, it's going to just shoot up this hello world. Okay. So right now, let me just go ahead to save this. I'm going to save this scene, and I'll create a folder called scene. And I'm going to call this my scene 1. I'm going to just go ahead and save this. So once I do that, I'm going to play this. Let's see what happens. So if you go down here, you see that it's displaying hello world continuously. That's what it's doing for us. It's just printing it continuously. So that's the hello world in the console. Okay. So right now, let's go ahead to do something more interesting. We're going to go ahead to print it on our screen. So we want, whenever the game starts, okay, we'll click on a button and then it will display hello world on the screen. So for that, we'll need two major things. I'm going to first right click here, and I'm going to get label. So the label is where our text is going to appear. So I'm going to switch my 2D screen, and I'm going to just get it somewhere here. And I'm also going to add a second thing. I'm going to add a button. With the button, I'm just going to drop this here. Let me just put something to like a placeholder, like 0, so that I will know where my label is. And then my button, I'm going to put something here. I'm going to say click. So I have something that will be seen there. So I'm just going to go ahead to select that again and change the location. Okay, I think I'll leave it here. So I want, whenever I click this, it's going to display hello world on this particular screen. So now let's save it and go back to here. So right now we already have this, and I'm going to just remove this. So we'll have this is the hello world. Let's remove this for the meantime. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to create the button. So to do that, I'm just going to go ahead to go to the button here. I have the button here, and when you select the button, you have the inspector where you have the properties of the button that you're working with, and you can go ahead to get the node. So once you get the node, you have the signals and the groups. So we're going to be using the signal. So these are the automatic signals that actually come with your Godot engine, okay? So once you have a button, you have the signals already there. Now you can go ahead to get the pressed. So once I get the pressed, that's the press signal. So that means whenever this button is pressed, it should do a particular thing. That's what I want to do right now. So we'll just get to that pressed, and I'm going to click on connect, and I'm going to connect it to this node 2D. That's the code. So you already have to have an existing code already before you can use these signals, because it connects to a particular existing code. So you just want to connect. So you say on button pressed, what should you do? You can always change it this, to whatever you want, and then you connect it. So once you connect, you can go back to your orchestrator, and you see that the fuse process is here. That's the reason why I have to disconnect my hello world, because we don't need that right now. So I have my on button press. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tell you that whenever this button is pressed, I want you to display something. Okay, just leave this alone. We don't need this anymore. So I'm going to go to the label. Now look at the interesting part. Now we can get this label, and one of the things I like about Orchestrator is that almost every property on your screen, you can drag those properties and actually program them. So I have my label here, and I have my text. So you can just come up here. From here, you drag it out and just drop it over here. And you can get the text, or you can set it. So I'm going to just get it. Okay, now I will also go back again, and I'm going to still go ahead to do it again, bring it up, and just say sorry, set text. Okay, I made a mistake here, so I don't need to get this get text for this. Let me do this again so that you don't get confused. So I have my label. The label here is the label, the text outside here. That's the label for the text that will be displayed. So I'm going to just get the where I have the text, where you can add a text, drag it out, and I'm going to set it. So the question now is, when I click this button, it should set this value to what? So right now it's setting to 0, but I want to set it something different. So I will say I want to set it to, remember we have a variable that we created already. So remember we created this variable that is a string that has hello world on it. So we're going to now drag this out, and we're going to use the get. So we're getting the value of the variable, and then we are setting it to the value of the label here. So I'm going to just drop this here and take this one to be here. Okay, so let's play this again and see what it's going to look like. So I have this, and once I click, I have hello world here. Okay, so hello world just appears here, and that's the simple way of being able to use this code. So now let's do something more interesting. We're going to now create a button where we can be able to increase and decrease a value. So we want to just understand how visual scripting works, because some people don't understand it. It looks as if it's complicated, but it's actually not. It's very, very simple. And if you understand how it works, you can easily work with it. So I'm going to just leave this here, and I'm going to create a new scene. I'm just going to leave this particular one here so that I won't confuse you. So I'm going to create a new scene, and this new scene is going to also have a label. So we're just trying to do the basics here. The basics here, we want to be able to work with different variables. So we'll have the label, and we're going to also have about 2 buttons, the increase and the decrease. So we'll have a button. So I'm going to just go ahead to duplicate this button, and let me call this one increase, and this one I'm going to call this one decrease. Okay, so you can also name it on it. So you can be able to also rename this by clicking on it. You can call it increase underscore button, and call this and right click and just rename decrease underscore button. Okay, so we'll have this here. So I'm just going to drop this here. Just drop this here. And to make it more interesting, we can just add rect, color rect. I like using color rect. You know, if I need to put some color to my work, I'm just going to drag it to the back. And I'm changing the color to, let's say, something gray. So we'll have this. So let's save this, Control S and scene 2. Let's go ahead and save that. So the label here, remember, we'll have our label, and we're also going to just put 0 on it. And I'm going to just drag this here and drop it there. So right now, I'm going to attach a script to this one too, so that we can be able to change. We have scene 2 script. So I'm going to go in and save it on my scripts and go ahead to create. So once I do that, I have my script here, and I want to start with, whenever this game starts, I want to increase the value of this with this. I think increase should be in the front, and this one should be over here. So I want to increase the value and also decrease the value, just randomly. So now to do that, I'm going to select the increase button and just go to my node, go to the signal again, and I'll select the pressed, click on that. Now, before I go ahead to do that, I just forgot something, and that is to create my variable for my value. So we'll have the value for the number, okay? So that's very important. Remember, we are working with the basics. So we have work with function, we don't have macro yet. We know what's graph, we know what signal, but we're not going to use signal yet. We're just going to go for the variable. I'm going to call this my number. So this number right now is going to be an integer. And right now it's going to be 0. I don't want to spot it because I don't intend to use it yet outside this place. So going up here, I'm going to go to my increase button, go back to my node again and get to the pressed, and then I can connect. So you're connecting to this, your script here for the node 2. That's for your scene 2. So once I connect it, I have this there, and you can be able to get the orchestrator, and you have this here. So first, we want to get a label. So once you select the label, you go into your inspector, and then you go into your orchestrator, and you can drag this here. Remember, we want to set the value. So we'll click on set value, we'll get the set value, and we're going to just drop this here. Get the value of the number. Right now, the value of number is 0. Okay, I think my network is a bit slow. Okay, it's back. So right now I have my get number here, and I'll get my number. So what I want to do, whenever I click on this button, I want the value of this to be increased each time. Okay. So what I'll do right now is that I'm going to right click here, and I'm going to get a node called addition. So you're going to go down to where you have your integers because you're working with integers. So addition here. So I'm going to just get that particular programming node, and I'm going to connect this here. And I'm telling you that whenever this button is clicked, get the value and add just one to it, and then connect it to this place. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So once we click on this, it will be increasing the value. Okay. So let's test and be sure it's actually working before we go to the decrease button. So here we'll have increase, and it's increased once and is no more increasing. So there could be a problem there. Let's see why it's doing that. So on increase, set the value. Okay, the reason why it's doing that is because we did not pass the value through the variable. So what we're going to do right now, this is very important, very, very important. So I'm going to drag this out and drop it here and click on the set number. So I'm going to get this and put it for the variable because we're trying to just change the value automatically. Okay, like we want to change the value of a text. Now these are numbers, so being able to change it continuously doesn't work. So you have to pass it through a variable. So the variable can always change because it's like a place you can store things. Okay, hello. So what version of Godot version are you using? Okay, I'm using 4.3. Godot 4.3 is what I'm using. Godot 4.3 is what I'm using. Welcome to my live. So okay, we can't see the screen. Wow. See the screen now. Can you see the screen? Okay. Okay. If you can see the screen, just put it in the comments. Let me be sure that we are together. Okay, okay. That's good. All right. Sorry for that. Once you don't see it, sometimes I think my screen sharing sometimes is still on here, but sometimes it just goes off. I don't know why it does that. So maybe whenever it does, just inform me so that I will connect back. Okay, thank you for that. So right now I have here. So in case you didn't get what I said this one wasn't setting properly because we didn't bring in this thing here because it's an integer. So we can just drag this here and bring in the set number. Okay. So what we're doing right now is that we want whenever it increases, that's the integer, that's the value here, we by one, and then it sets it to the variable itself. So this variable is what we are using here. And you're going to connect this here. So now you're going to set it to the label. Remember, we got this here from this particular one. We selected here and we got this from the label from this here. We just drag it from here and just use set. Okay. So that's what we have. Okay. So we just drop this here and we'll put it here. So what this is doing is that whenever this button is clicked, is going to get the value of this variable, increase it by one, set it to the variable, now the new value of the variable, and then transfer everything to this text. This text you're seeing here, that's the label, the text for the label here. So once you do that, let's go ahead to play that again, and we're going to see, how it's going to work. So right now you see, once you click, you can be able to increase it continuously. Okay, so this can be used for a clicker game. So any kind of game you want to use, you can be able to just do it, and you can increase the value of a number or maybe change the value of something. So I'm just going to close that. Now let's do for the decrease button. So if I click on the decrease button, I can just go into the node and have my pressed here. So I have the pressed here, and I'm going to connect. I'm still going to connect to this node 2D, and on decrease button pressed. So I'm going to click on that. So once I do that, I'm going to go back to my orchestrator, and I'm busy, I'm coming, okay? I'm doing something, I'm coming, okay? Yeah, I'm coming. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to just get this decrease button event. So I'm going to do the same thing I did here. So I'm just going, in case you haven't seen it before, let's do that again. First, I'm going to just drag out the number, and I'm going to get my number. And I will get my, this time around, I can use addition and make it -1, or I can just use subtraction. So once I type subtraction, I go down to where I have the integer here. So I'm going to performance decrement by using is here performance decrement. Not really. From my own experience, not really. So GD script has more features. That's the thing there. Has, you know, it has more. I'm answering the question. I'm coming. It has more capabilities. So the thing now is that if you are someone that wants to go deep into game development, you know, I would advise you go for GD script if you want to, you know, create the most complex video games and everything. But if you're a designer or a 3D artist like me and you want to be able to create content that are interactive without going to the long process of, you know, trying to, you know, learn, you know, because you don't want to learn 3D modeling and all those things, also come to learn programming. There are people who can do that too. But if you have a reason not to, video scripting is very, very simple. You know, something that you can easily learn and you won't have to, you know, learn all the coding, you know, part of it. And it's easy to work with. So it's all about your choice, okay? At least from my own experience, I've not seen any performance issue. So you just, I think the only difference is the capabilities. The capability is the difference. So there are things that I want to do in visual scripting that might be very difficult for me, you know, to do because maybe they don't have that feature yet inside the, you know, the visual scripting. So for example, if I want to make a character move, there's a long code that I can be able to use. If you are using something like Unreal Engine, they usually have, you know, already made codes that you can be able to. I'm just hoping that maybe with time, as these visual scripting progresses, they can be able to create a version that can make certain things very easy, so you don't have to do everything from scratch. So, but that's the drawback there. But for performance, I think it's okay. You can actually check the games I've made on my channel, and you see how smooth they are. I have not seen any difference, you know, between it and, you know, normal games. So let's continue. So I'm going to come up here and just get a number. I have the subtract here, and I'm going to put this here. I hope I answered your question. If you have any other question, you just ask. I have 1 here, so I'm going to be minusing 1 from the whatever is the value of that particular thing. So I'm just getting that. So right now I will drag this one out. Remember, we are setting it to the variable itself. I'm going to put this here and just connect this. Okay. I can hear, sir. I like to hear that you type. It's easy for you. Anyway, I wouldn't know. It's for those that have used that. That's possible. Okay, that's possible that performance can be affected. But from my own experience, I've not seen it. Okay. Okay, that's possible. So that if you're talking about if Unity and Unreal Engine, if there's performance issues, you know, when you use Blueprint or visual scripting, okay, I think it's something that's possible. I don't really know that because I don't use those ones, but I just have experience with Unreal Engine. So here I'm going to just come up here and get my label. Let me get my label again. and just, all right, let me continue. And just go back to orchestrator. I'm going to drag this from my text, drop it here, set text. I'm going to just put this here and connect this to this place. So right now, you can now decrease your value. Okay, so that's the two codes I have here. So let's play it and see what happens here. So once we do that, we can be able to increase and decrease. So that's the good part of this. Okay. So very, very simple stuff. Okay. So we just have about a few minutes to go because this is my first official live. I might not take too long for today, but by the time we'll be doing more things, we're going to be doing more advanced tutorials on our life. So now what I want to do right now is I want to create a random number generator. So I want to be able to randomly generate a number. And whenever I generate that particular number, I can be able to try to match a number to it. So let me just show you what I mean here. So this is a very simple game I'm actually creating right now. So this is the game here. This number is the one that I'm controlling. Okay, let me just drop it somewhere here. So I'm going to create another label somewhere here. So we're trying to learn basic stuff we can do with visual scripting. So I'm going to just create that and I'm going to put 0 here. Okay, so we'll have this. So we want to be able to just have a random number generator here so that it generates our numbers, just on its own. Okay. So to do that, I'm going to go over here and I'll just simply I have my number here. So, but I'm going to create a new variable called number 2, or let me call it number, let me call it random number, random underscore number. So my random number now is still going to be an integer. I want to just generate random numbers, automatically. So what I'll do here is I'll just come up to my orchestrator, and right now I'm going to use my physics process. So I'm clicking here and getting my physics process. So once I get my physics process, so this is my physics process. So whenever the game starts, automatically it begins to generate random numbers. So what I'll do now is I'm going to tell it, I'll get my random number, okay? So whatever it is, just get it. And but I'm going to set it. Okay, first let me delete this and do this here. I'm going to get it and set it. So what am I setting it to? That's where I'm going to be changing the value here now. So I have my random number. Let me just right click and get random. So here, if you type random, you see you have random. There's a floats range. You have random integer range. So once I get my random integer range, I can just drop this here, connect this to here, and I'm going to give it a range. So I'm going to say I want to generate numbers from me from 1 to, let's say, 5. So it's going to just be doing that for me. So now, but for it to do that, it needs to be doing automatically, continuously. So to do that, I can use a timer, but for now, for this particular one, I'm going to be using a while loop. So in case you have never used a while loop inside, if you want to, because we're trying to talk about looping right now, your conditions, if you want to do your conditions here now. So I'm going to right click, and if you type flow, you see that you have the flow controls. You have the branch. The branch is just like if statements, okay? So I'm just going to go down and get my while. Let me see if I'm not seeing while from here, please. I'm going to type it while. So I have my while, it's under flow, the flow control. So I'm going to get my while, and I'm going to just drop this here and connect this to here, okay? So I'm telling you that continuously it should keep on. So if you want to give it a range, you can use for loop. So, but I want it to just, once I click on this, or if I check this button, it means that it's an infinite loop. It means that it keeps on generating random numbers continuously, it doesn't stop. So I have this whenever this fish process pressed, while the loop, okay, while this loop is on, okay, which is infinite, it should change the value of this variable, this random number variable. And then I want you to set it to this label 2. So this label 2 is this one here, okay? I will rename it to, let me just call it random number display. So it's easier for us to detect, what we have there. So it's very important. So I'm going to just do this. So once I select it, go over here. Remember, we'll say that it's very easy to code this. Just drag it out from here and click on sets. Okay. Okay. Performance drops because the visual scripting needs to be converted to C++ for Unreal Engine and C# for Godot before compiling. Yeah. Okay. Scripture is saying something here. Okay. That's true. Although I know that it's a plugin, okay? I'm coming. It's a plugin, okay? But it's actually written in GDScript. So the orchestrator is written in GDScript. So, but from my own experience, I've not seen the difference yet. Maybe if I work with a huge, maybe a bigger kind of game or something, that's when I will notice that. But I've not really seen the difference from my own experience. So maybe someone that has used the normal destination will also know that. Okay, you're welcome, Script Studio. So I'm going to just get this set text. We are setting this text to this one here now. I'll pass this to here and then pass this to here. Remember how we have been passing our text all along. Let me remove this. So we'll have this. So right now, I'm just going to play this and let's see what happens here. So once the game starts, it's going to start generating numbers for us automatically. So another issue is that the system I'm using is it doesn't have a graphics card, so it's a bit slow when it's running the game. So that's another issue that we are facing here. Okay, I think it's taking some time to be able to run my game. Just a bit of patience. I hope it's not my while loop that is causing this. Let me see. Let's try it again. But I didn't tell it to delay. So it's like infinitely doing something and it's not even delaying. Okay. What is between set text and another option that's below? While we right click on the event graph, what is the difference between set text and another option that's below? Okay, so here, let me, if I didn't get a question, just tell me later. So set text is this. So when I click on this, I'm setting this text. I'm trying to use the function, set the value of this text here. Oh my God, again. Can you see it now? Can you see it now? Okay, all right. So now I'm going to just go ahead to, so I said when I select this, so once you go back to your orchestrator, because I have to click here, and when I drag this out, so there are two things, there are two properties that we are getting from the text, the set, the get text and the set text. Okay, I don't know if that's the question you're asking. So the get text will get the value of that particular text. If I wrote something inside here now, it will just get that value for me. So I can use it wherever I want to. Then set text means that I'm going to give you the ability to be able to set a new text. Okay. So I can connect a variable to that, if you have something like this, you can connect a variable here and it will not become the new value of that particular label that you have there. So that's the difference. So right now we have done that here. That's what we did here. We'll set the text and we moved it from the variable here. That's the variable here. We'll set the variable here from this random number here, and then we'll pass it to to this. If you are early on the live, you see that we try to do it directly, or we did it directly, and it's not usually it cannot be able to keep on increasing. So you will have to pass it through a variable before it can be able to work. So we'll have this variable here. So what we missed, the reason why our game refused to play, was the fact that we didn't add a delay. So we'll have to delay it. So if it's repeating, it has to be delayed. So I'm going to add a delay to it. So once I add my delay, I can just drop this here and just put this here and put that there. So I have my delay. So I have 1 second delay. So you can put it different. You can make it. You can even make it about 0. Let's say 6, so that it's a bit faster. So I'm just going to play this, and it's very, very fast. So we have to, reduce it a bit. Let's go ahead to reduce it. So the time is a bit fast, so I'm going to make it about 1.5 seconds. Let's see if we can be able to track the difference. So right now it's going to, it's doing that again. Let's see why it's doing that. It's doing a while loop. After a while loop, it's going to be setting the number. Okay, thank you for that. So, my screen. I wonder how I'm going to resolve this screen issue, and I'll find a way. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, so we encountered a problem with our code. And the problem we have with our code is that we try to do this. We'll have a while loop and then we'll have a delay. And it's just infinitely giving us a value because once each time is coming, it's going to wait for 1.5 seconds before it changes the value and then sets it to this place. So, but we realize that whenever we do that, it's doing that automatically. While we run the game loop, loop is making to close the screen. Okay. Okay. Making the that's the game itself. Okay. Thanks for that. All right, so now let me just go ahead to change something here. I'm going to do something here because I noticed that this while loop is not working for me here. It's not giving me exactly what I want. So I'm going to change something here. So this normally should work, but for some reasons, I think we're having some issues. So another thing, like I said before, that we can use a timer here. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead to get my timer. So I will go back to this node here, right click and add child node and get a timer node. So when I click on my timer node, I'm going to have the timer here. And I'm going to go to my waiting time. I have 1 second here already here. So with that, I'm also going to connect it. So now you're going to go to your node and go to timeout. Okay, so you're going to tell it whenever it goes, it's timeout, what should you do? You should do something. So that's my signal for my timer. That's what I'm doing right now. Instead of using a while loop, you can also use a timer so that it keeps on, running itself. That's another way of being able to do infinite things. So if you either use your while loop or your for loop, okay, or you're going to use a timer, that's another thing you can use. Timers are usually more efficient. So I'm going to click on connect and connect it to the node. So on timer, timeout. So right now I'm going to come up here. Remember, we'll have this physics process. I'm going to remove this, and a while loop, I'm going to remove it too. Okay, this at least we know how to use this now in the code, but it didn't work for us here. So I'm going to just drop this here and going for the timer timeouts. So we're telling that whenever the timer times out as 1 second, it should wait for, let's say, let's make it 0.2 because sometimes it's unable to hold itself. So let me just make it 0.2 seconds and let's see how fast it's going to be. So we just change these two codes for the timer here. So let's play this again. If it should go off before it plays the game, just tell me in the comments. Okay, we'll have this here. I hope you can see the game itself, and it's not doing anything. So we'll probably have a bug in our code. So we'll have timer here. Okay, the thing that we forgot to do is select the timer. Okay, we forgot to do something. We forgot to make it auto start. It should start on its own. Okay, click on auto start. The timer should start on its own. It should shoot on its own, and you should continuously. Don't put one shot. Okay, if you put one shot, it's going to just do it once and stop. Okay. Another time we're going to be doing like a breakdown of Godot engine, but right now we're just focused on visual scripting for today. So I'm going to just play this. You see it's changing now, 4, 3, okay? That's good. So we'll have this, so we have this, okay? We can change this value and this one changes automatically, okay? So that's a very simple game feature inside Godot engine using the visual scripting. I'll just go ahead to delete this particular one, the timer, the physics timer here. I'm going to just remove this and also remove this particular one. So basically, the codes we have here are just the basic features that we can be able to use. So we're able to create a simple console display, and then we also had the screen display. Where we'll click on a button, it will display hello world for us. And we also have where we can increase a number and decrease a number, and also automatically randomly generate a number using the timer node. So that's basically all we have for today. It's almost an hour. I just wanted to have a live that is less than an hour for today. By tomorrow, probably we'll be able to have a better game that we're going to be creating. I think one of the things we'll be doing, we'll be creating at least a game in each of our live. So if you are interested in this, just subscribe to my channel, and you can ask your questions in the comments now. Okay, understood, sir. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. You're welcome. So Saidev, Papu, okay. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name very well. Thank you very much for being the live. You have been the one that have been here since. Thank you for being the live, and others who have been coming and going. Thank you for being part of the live today. And in the next live and also other tours I will be putting up, very interesting stuff. And always feel free to ask me any question, and I will also answer that question. Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Right, you spelled. All right. Have a nice day, you too. Okay. Have a great day. All right. Thank you. All right. See you in the next video. Okay. And next live. Bye.